Haha. What is going on, guys? Good morning. It is a wonderful Saturday morning on this day, 11 March 2022. Hey, this is Mad Jack. What's going on, guys? Great to see all you crazy cats out there. And as you guys know, I put out a video last week and just kind of talked about some new changes going on. And so more and more I'm trying to get out of the house and just really enjoy my environment, really enjoy the surroundings that are actually around my new house since I live out by the lake. So we are here located in a place called Anderson's Marsh. There is a hiking trail here, which is approximately supposed to be about 3.5 miles from my understanding. But now that I'm actually here on site, it looks like there might be more than just one trail. So, but one of the problems is I had to park my Jeep all the way right there, just right outside. And it turns out it's not because I'm a cheapskate or anything. It just turns out that I'll show you guys. So as we walk over here, there is a self-registration area here, and it's an honor system. Now, I have the $4, guys. I have the $4 to go ahead and, pay for this. The problem is, guys, is that, well, I do have $102.50. That's 250 bills. I have two $1 bills and literally 50 cents in change, but they need $4. So it is an honor system, pretty much. You do pull out the permit that is right here. You basically fill it out, and in order to basically park in this area here, very small, you just fill out one of these things. And like I said, it's an honor system. You keep the stub and you put the money in the envelope that's right here, and then you place the payment right in this slot right here. So since I don't have exact change, I just basically went ahead and dealt with it. I parked the Jeep just outside. So hey, you know what? It's an extra football field for me to walk. Not a problem. But Anderson's Marsh, guys. So it's supposed to be kind of like a ranch area, which I think is kind of cool. So there's like an old school ranch. So I think we're gonna go over here. We're gonna take a look at it, and I don't know. We'll pick one of these trails to walk. I was planning on probably just doing the regular 3.5 mile trail, and but I think with closer look here, looks like there's actually multiple paths we can take. So there's a little cool Anderson's Marsh State Historic Park trail there. And okay, there it is. All right, so I can see just right off the side here, there's a trail going along that fence line that way. Actually, there was a large guided tour that just took off there. And it looks like that will literally take you along on the south side here. As I'm looking at this map, we're actually facing west, so it would actually probably it would actually, if you look at the way how that trail is moving off to the left, that is actually going west. So we are looking north here, but I am facing exactly west, so we're pretty much facing that way. But yeah, looking over here, looks like on the other side of this ranch, there's actually a trail that hits kind of across. I'm guessing it's going to hit across that the river area there, and then maybe actually take a circle around. So I think that might be more scenic instead of just going completely straight out. So I think we're going to go ahead and maybe check out these buildings and see how it goes. So unfortunately, no dogs, bicycles, horses, and unfortunately no hunting. So leave your guns at home. So it looks like pretty much like an old school ranch. We got like a little picnic area here. I was just told there's still some COVID guidance going on right now today. So the picnic areas are supposed to be off limits. But whenever that opens up, it looks like there's actually room for barbecue. There's some grills, there's a water faucet and all that. And maybe when it fully opens up, people can actually come out here and maybe cook food and stuff like here. All right, so what do we got here? Shelter from the storm. So we got a little read here. I'll just go ahead and take a little snapshot here. If you guys want to read it more, you can probably pause the video. But it looks like there was an old farming family, the Andersons, and they've had this ranch. Pretty interesting. So I'm wondering if the Andersons was some family that helped establish one of the first settlements out here in the Lake County area. This looks like a horse stall, and yeah, it looks like that might be an old school farming till. Probably had maybe some horses that would be strapped in front of it, and I'm guessing that the blades that are right here, these curved blades in the back, I'm guessing that was used to help till the farmlands. And that looks like maybe that's a smaller one there. Interesting. Yeah. And this is pretty nice. I mean, again, I'm guessing they probably use this whole wide field for, like, all their crops and stuff like that. So pretty interesting stuff. All right. This looks like this may be the old Anderson Ranch home right here. Actually, there's another sign over here. I don't know if we're actually allowed to go inside. I do see their picket fence gate open here. I mean, no one's actually living here right now. But yeah, look at here. So there's a little something here. Again, little snapshot here. If you guys want to pause the video and read that for a little while, be my guest. But again, it looks like this used to be a family home here. I see Grigsby's. I also see, I don't know, maybe the Andersons. I don't know if that's the family name or if that was just the name of the ranch, but I also see something like Grigsby's family. So pretty interesting. That's actually a nice looking house from the outside. Pretty well kept. I'm sure that now it's a state park. It's been probably renovated a bit. But we're gonna go ahead and just continue along with our walk. So yeah, this is just one of those things where I've been meaning to do more often. Just kind of get up on during the day and move on about. So this is pretty cool. Oh man, look at that. That tree is whack. Man, that tree is it looks like something out of like The Witcher or something. I don't know if you guys, like I said, I'm into video games, and man, that looks like something really creepy. Check that out. It almost looks like one of those old tree ants. Like that would be the mouth, and like maybe that's like a one eye. It'd be like an evil one eye tree ant. If you guys don't know what a tree ant is, a tree ant is like it's basically a tree that's alive and it has like a face and whatnot, like in those dark fantasy movies or something like that. That's a gnarly looking tree. it's probably seen a lot of damage. You can see that it's had a lot of wear and tear, especially up there. I'm pretty much imagine that this was a much more taller tree. As you can see, the trunk down below is very thick. It's kind of hard to tell what kind of tree it may have been, but I know in this immediate area, Douglas firs are actually very abundant, but I don't think that's a Douglas fir. It's kind of hard to tell what kind of tree that is right now. That looks like maybe it's an old tool shed, maybe an old cabin. I can see someone's got it padlocked. And okay, look at this here. So we got the Cache Creek Nature Trail, Ridge Point, 1.1 miles. Archaeological area resource. Again, no dogs, bicycles, horses, or hunting. Okay, here we go. Just gonna go along this trail. Like I said, you guys might be long. I'll probably, in the end, when I have this video uploaded, it'll be a whole lot much more trimmed down. But yeah, there's a few people out here enjoying themselves, having a good time, just taking a nice stroll. So actually, I see right there, there's a freeway not too far away. I see some road workers. They probably got in trouble. They probably had either a nasty DUI, they're doing community service. Or, you know what, sometimes it's exactly just that, community service. You get some people that want to actually get out there and clean up the environment. And I've actually seen that a lot in this area here, Lake County. It's kind of interesting. You know, the funny thing is, I've heard a lot of things before I moved up here. People talking about like, oh yeah, you know, there's like meth cookers and, you know, the lake stinks. And well, you know, I did more research and found out, yeah, you know, there's a reason why the lake in general can smell. And it's because that, especially on the onset of the late summertime and well into the fall, there is a blue algae that mostly cultivates on the bottom of the lake, and it'll rise up to the surface. And so it's really mostly only a problem when there's a lot of boaters out and they come out and they do a lot of their crazy boating, especially in the height of probably bass fishing. You do have to be a little bit careful, but the algae, for the most part, most of the year, I would say maybe earlier in the year, like the springtime and the early summer, it's pretty much settled down in the lake. Now, my understanding is the lake is actually not that super deep. I think the deepest part of the lake may be about 50 feet. But with that said, most of the boaters, they've actually started to come out right now. This is actually really gorgeous weather. I mean, this is like, you know, if you're combat arms, like I am, you know, infantry, combat engineer, this is beautiful weather right now. It's like, you know, low 50s right now. It was kind of like high 40s, low 50s right now. Clear blue sky. No, not a cloud in sight. Looking around, I mean, it is a beautiful day. Perfect day for walking. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people coming out right now doing their boating, fishing. Kind of wish I had a boat right now. I could actually, you know, my wife and I actually, especially my wife, she wants to, you know, little rascal, she wants to go out and do some really cool fishing. She's like really into that. So maybe one of these days we'll maybe get a boat sometime. Just when a lot of crazy stuff and finances get settled down, that'd be great. You know, the other day, our heat in the house actually stopped working. And I was like, what the heck, you know? And a little rascal brought it up to me, and I was like, oh, what the hell's going on? And then also the heat in the water stopped, and I was like, oh man, you know what? I think we're out of propane. And again, that's just kind of like one of those expenses as a new homeowner. You don't always necessarily think about it completely. And just the other day, I found out that not only we were out, but it turned out that our propane tank on the outside was managed by a company that is actually no longer in existence. And so I had to call up a brand new company and get a new tank installed, which I have not been charged for yet, because some companies will either have you pay for it outright or you can rent it. But I did get an invoice for a new propane fill. Got about 198.8 gallons of liquid propane pumped in, and I got charged a whopping $800. Yeah, so propane right now, especially with Ukraine going on, the craziness with that, crude oil going up, inflation and all that stuff, all that crazy stuff, we're pretty much looking at $3.99 a gallon for liquid propane. And it might be more somewhere else, but that's basically, from my understanding, we actually got the cheaper end of it. I went with a company, very highly reputable, family owned, and apparently they're very flexible with their pricing and their payment plans. But I got an invoice for $3.99 a gallon liquid propane. So I don't know where it is, where you guys are at here in California, Lake County. The best value that I got was for $3.99 a gallon. So I got a nice whopping $800 bill on that. But anyways, it looks like this might be a dried creek bed. I'm not sure. I don't really see any evidence of water rushed through in here, but it does look like maybe a fire came through here at one point. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, I just figured that was interesting to take a look at that, kind of a little break from the trail, but it looks like it turns around here, so let's keep going. But yeah, I looked into it. We got a brand new 250 gallon propane tank. It is a exterior tank, and I had that installed in the backyard so that it's not kind of like sticking out like a sore thumb. But from what I've seen in this area, most people seem to be carrying either a 250 or maybe a 500 gallon propane tank at most. With the weather the way how it is, the 250 gallon tank, provided that you're not doing anything super crazy, you're not doing anything more than probably just taking a nice warm shower and enjoying, you know, hot water when you need it, and on the occasional cold morning, maybe turn the heat up. And I gotta say, I mean, if you can get your house heated to maybe a nice, you know, 65 degrees, you know, you're fine. But from what I've seen, probably a 250 gallon tank would probably be able to take care of your needs for what you got going on. At least me and my wife, we got a dog and a cat, so we don't got like other people living in the house, but it should probably last us most of the year. So as far as propane's going, that's probably going to be my heavy-handed bill, at least for the rest of the year. I don't imagine us using a lot of heat except for water. Coming up now that we're in warmer weather and towards the summer, I think that's what we're going to be looking at here. So shouldn't be too many cold mornings, not too many, unless the weather gets a little crazy. Looks like we got something over here. What we got? All right. So anybody who's really enthusiastic about like Native American culture, from my understanding, I believe the Pomo people used to live here in this area. So that's very interesting. So again, another little snapshot here. You want to learn more history here? Go ahead and pause, read a little bit about it here. I've always loved culture. I've studied sociology, anthropology when I was still going to Harbor College in Los Angeles. It's a junior college there. Took several classes there for a couple years. And that was actually the path I was going toward. I was actually studying sociology as soon as I got out of the active Army, and I transferred to Army National Guard, doing the 1 week in a month thing for a while. And that's where I was going to school until we got called up to Iraq, at least me and my unit. And then when that happened, that was like, I want to say that was around 2004, July or August. That's when we got the official call. We were mobilized and we got activated for pre-mob training, which we did in Camp Roberts and as well as Fort Bliss, Texas. And we were in pre-mob, I want to say at least 5 months. It was a little bit different back then. We've definitely perfected the time down where we can actually allow units to conduct a lot more of their training. But I gotta say, probably around when the war in Iraq and Afghanistan started, that our turnaround for pre-mobilization was a work in progress. So it's now more fine-tuned down to a science. But back in those times, pre-mobilization training was a lot longer. And I remember being in Texas maybe at least, like I said, 3 to 4 months before we actually rolled out into theater. All right, so we got another stop here. It looks like this is where the actual creek is. It is currently dried out right now. But you can actually tell that the soil here is a little bit more moisturized. So you actually go down there, it's probably more like a consistency of clay. That's going to be my guess. But it's currently dried up right now. So what we have here, this is the vital habitat at the water's edge. Magic of a riparian woodland. Okay, so again, a little pause here. If you guys are interested in more of this stuff, this I guess is called Cache Creek. And that's where we're at now. Okay, my shadow is kind of getting in the way now, but we are, I'm going to guess we've probably barely walked half a mile, if that. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and cross. Here's the wood bridge. And again, there is the dried creek bed. You know, that other area that we were at, that could have actually very well been the creek bed area. It was just so dried out right now. Yeah, unfortunate. I don't know if this is a permanently dried creek bed or not, but like I said, the soil actually still looks a bit lumped up. And maybe it's just momentarily that it's dried up right now. So yeah, let's go ahead and continue on. Yeah, unfortunately, can't take a dog out here. I got a greyhound, and but there are supposed to be dog-friendly trails in Lake County, and I've been meaning to find a place where you could take Orion out and just enjoy, like I said, our surroundings. But yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, the funny thing is that, you know, being in the Army as long as I have, it's like, oh man, we're going out. It's like, all right, let's field time, ruck up, and it's kind of like, other than camping or whatever, it's like those are the only times that we would find any moment to be outside and enjoy our environment. Yeah, I'm meaning to do more of these, so we're probably going to have a whole lot more trail videos. And not only that, I want to get into doing some more stuff with the Jeep. Maybe find some actually off-road trails, do a lot more of that. Had an opportunity last year, got together with extended family. Unfortunately, it was for a negative circumstance, but the positive thing out of it was having the family get together. So over the years, when Little Rascal and I have been married, typical Army fashion, I take her away, right? I take her away from home. We're traveling, duty calls, relocate our home of record. And, quite often, a lot of our times, our military spouses, they take a bullet, right? They bite the bullet to support, their man or their woman serving their country. And, she's paid a lot of prices for her time. Unfortunately, she's always been away when her mother and her father had, fell ill and sacrificed, their time, being away from her. So, those are some other things that I reflect on as well, as I have now been in the Army for 25 years. I first met my wife, and when we first dated, I was a recruiter. So she's always known me dealing with, high stress, and long hours at work. But nevertheless, she stuck with me. We dated for 3.5 years. She even moved with me. We weren't even married. So she's made a lot of sacrifices. And we accelerated our wedding plans because unfortunately her mother had been diagnosed with level 4 ovarian cancer, and usually at that point that's terminal. So despite everything, we were able to manage to have my mother-in-law involved with the whole process, all the way leading up to, unfortunately, the night right before our ceremony. She was admitted into the hospital and ended up staying in a hospital bed for about a week. And at that time, unfortunately, she had passed on. And so that was one of those things that always really bothered Little Rascal. And sometimes I always wondered whether or not she ever felt that I was to blame for or whatever, but I don't think that's ever been the case. My mother-in-law was an amazing woman, and if there was ever a mother-in-law to have, she would have been it. So really amazing woman. And her father, Little Rascal's father, also unfortunately had developed cancer, lung cancer in this case, but we identified it early. It was stage 1, and so a decision was made, and I thought that it was a interesting decision, but I think it was overall what the family in general felt was best. And even though it was a very small mass at the lung, they decided to remove the portion of that lung, stage 1. But I think maybe because there were further complications with mucus mass growing, and just further complications and all that. There was times where we would, after the procedure was done, everything seemed well. We would pull him out of the hospital for 2 weeks. there was a remission, he would go back in for some reason or another. And a lot of it maybe been because of pneumonia or some other mucus buildup. There was always something that was creating a complication with the breeding process. And so I always thought that was actually a really scary time. And that would go on for almost a year. And so at that time, we were probably, as far as my wife is concerned, it was the lowest probably point of her life. And we were in a very rough area, a tough assignment, where we were pretty much far removed from a lot of other local support, even with the National Guard. It was a more remote location in California, which I'm not going to state, at least right now. But anyone who does know me would know where I was. And but nonetheless, it was a great unit to work with. Really good people to work with locally there. But administratively, training-wise, there were a lot of difficult things to go through, even with work. And so even though that my wife and I made that decision to work in that location because, you know, it helped further my career, again, this is just a prime example for what military spouses can go through. And so, again, like every time that we've been away from, you know, extended family, you know, something would go on. And it was kind of like been the story of our lives the last, you know, 10 to 11 years that we've been together. We've been together for 11 years, married for 8. And a lot of sacrifices there. But not only from what we go through as soldiers and service members in the armed forces, we cannot forget our spouses. So we just can't. They make a huge sacrifice. All right, so let's keep going on. So that was kind of cool. Looked like there was a little pause. Some people living here by the creek on the other side. And let's keep going on here. So, all right. So far from what I've seen, this trail is, as far as other trails can be, this is relatively flat and probably a nice brisk walk if you're not making a lot of stops like I am, at least right now doing this video. You can probably see that this would be a nice little brisk morning walk. I think all around, like I said, it's supposed to be about maybe 3 or 3.5 miles, but so far this is actually pretty cool. I would even venture to say, if you're into nature running, this would actually probably be a nice place for a trail run as well. I've had to learn to become much more creative with my exercise. I actually have profiled plantar fasciitis. In my case, it's the more common fallen arches and heel spurs. Now, I was diagnosed at, I want to say roughly maybe about 4 to 5 years ago. And I had to be much more creative. The Army had provided me these medical orthotics. They're like these heel inserts you put in your boots. And what they do is they help push your arch back up. And needless to say, the first 6 months that I was wearing those was really tough on the feet. It sucks. But then your feet get used to it. And then of course you got to do other things, right? You got to watch your diet. You got to exercise regularly. And you want to make sure you don't weigh too much because, of course, the more body weight you have, the more pressure that your feet have to deal with every time you take a step. And so it was very painful wearing those. But at the same time, it was also very painful dealing with heel spurs, because heel spurs, it kind of feels like you have, you know, nails on the bottom of your feet every time you're walking around. All right.
Like a big LED red light. Yep.
Morning.
Good morning.
All right, so definitely not alone. Looking at some people taking a morning walk from the other way. But yeah, I was saying that it was really tough dealing with this profile because, you know what, like I said, I there was a time, even though I'm a little more short and stocky, there was a time I used to run like the wind. And when I first joined the Army, it was 1996. I was 18, straight out of high school. Joined the regular Army my first 4 years. And back then, believe it or not, back then, we still had the 2-mile run maxed out at the 18 age group. It was 11 minutes and 54 seconds. This was before the changes that I want to say that they did, like, I want to say they made the change. I might be completely off my rocker here, but I want to say they made the change to the 2-mile run somewhere close to like maybe 1999 or 2000. Again, my mind is a little foggy on that. But I remember they changed the time on the run somewhere a little bit closer to 13 minutes flat. So again, I'm probably completely off my year, but I know they made that change. And but when I first came in and it was 11:54, I've only maxed that run once, and I was 19 years old, and I remember that run. I was 19 years old. I was deployed with 10th Mountain in Bosnia-Herzegovina. We were in a NATO rotation, and that was back during a time in the Balkans. Bosnia-Herzegovina, that was back in the time where the Serbians were actually doing this whole ethnic cleansing thing. Which was another kind of like a nasty atrocity kind of situation. And that, again, that's another region that has a lot of history in Eastern Europe. You know, that goes like years and years back. But yeah, I only maxed my run at 11 minutes and 54 seconds, like once in my entire life. Never again. I don't think ever again I ever ran 2 miles under 12 minutes. Let alone I probably never ran 2 miles under 13 or 14 minutes from that point on, because that was a very crazy run. I want to say I did that run in the afternoon. You know, we did a PT run and we did the APFT at an unusual time. It was after lunch. And the reason we did that was because when we were in Bosnia-Herzegovina, we did 12-hour shifts. My squad had night shift. So when we come off night shift, you pretty much sleep once you hit the C hut, and you're sleeping throughout pretty much all morning. And then if you wanted to eat, you get up around the late portion of the afternoon. You have your lunch, which is technically like your breakfast, and then you got to do your PT in the afternoon. So I remember, because if you're not running and you're not doing your hardest, they say, like, if you're not pissing your pants or you're not puking, then you didn't try hard enough. Well, I puked on that run. I remember running that. And I don't know, I want to say I had some kind of like chicken Alfredo or chicken cacciatore or some kind of pasta dish. And yeah, you can imagine the rest. I'm not gonna go into more detail with that. Oh, this is a great walk. Look at this. So most of this area here seems to be pretty barren. I'm probably going to go ahead and at least here. This has been a long video. At least this part here, I think I'm going to go ahead, and from what I remember with the map, I'm going to go ahead and say that we're going to go ahead and pause with this. So anyways, guys, we're getting a little bit closer to the 40-minute mark here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to bust through the rest of the trail all the way around. It seems to be pretty much mostly open field and tree line from this point on. But it looks like, from my understanding, what the map was supposed to say, the trail is going to pretty much go along here, and then we'll catch up down over there a little bit closer to where all the cars are parked. But nevertheless, I wanted to make this video here and show you guys, hey, I'm still alive. We're doing much more outdoorsy stuff here, and it's a great time. It's a great time to make changes. I know it's March. I know a lot of people say, hey, make your resolutions, you're going into a new year. And a lot of times it's like, you know, why do we make resolutions? Do people actually even follow through those resolutions? But as you guys know from my last video, a lot of new things going on. Looking at promotion, whether that happens or not, you know, cross our fingers. Sometimes you got to wait, you got to bide your time. But we're fully eligible, we're fully ready, we're fully promotable right now. Went through the training, the leadership course for it, ready to go. Just trying to do good things at work, make new changes, go back into college, take a pause with some other stuff, just enjoy our environment. And you know what? We're gonna have some friends over next week, turning 44, it'll be my 44th birthday. Guys, I know it doesn't look like it. I know it doesn't look like it. I'm 43 now. We're going to be 44 next week. I know it doesn't look like it. But feeling good, feeling very positive, moving forward. My wife's going to, you know, start doing some school. I'm going to get into school. My stepson has, you know, left the nest. He's living a new life in Texas. He's found actually a second job. Things are moving along. A lot of rough times moving ahead. Geopolitically, the world's going crazy. You know, Russia's in the Ukraine, a lot of that stuff going on, a lot of crazy stuff. But, you know, I'm focusing more on my education, also my Army career, and who knows? I know it's really scary to think about this, but things might escalate even more, and even more so, got to be prepared, got to be ready. So now that I bought a new house, I'm in a new location. Look at this beautiful weather. How can I not take advantage of this? So anyways, guys, thank you so much for just, you know, hanging out with me in this wonderful, wonderful morning in this trail walk. We're going to do some more stuff. We're going to probably do some more stuff kind of off stream, take some more videos, probably do a little bit more of the YouTube instead of the Twitch kind of thing. But I'm not completely going away. I'm still going to be supporting a lot of the people that I know on the online community, and moving forward with some other things like I said, my education, my career. So anyways, guys, thank you guys so much. This is Mad Jack signing off. 07. Love you guys, and we'll see you later on the flip side. Bye.